You may have heard by now that Albert Pyun passed away last weekend. If you've been watching my YouTube shorts, you may also know that a few days after the news broke, I started watching all of the movies he's directed. I'm not entirely sure what my intentions with this are, but for now, I think I'll do a semi-off-the-cuff weekly recap of what I saw the week before. Initially, after he passed, a few people asked me if I was going to do a career retrospective video. To be honest, I'm actually not as familiar with his body of work as you all might assume, considering the first video I made was about one of his movies. Since I didn't feel like I could do a good career retrospective video justice, I decided I would just do a video about my favorite film of his, Doll Man. After I came to this decision, I actually then had another coworker come up to me the following day and ask if I was going to do a career retrospective video. At this point, I began to feel like the gauntlet had been thrown and I can't ignore a film challenge. So the marathon was on. The Pyun-athon. No, not that. Never that. Such a horrible word. Why did I say it again? One weekend, and I've watched the first 4 films he directed: Sword and the Sorcerer, Radioactive Dreams, Dangerously Close, and Vicious Slips. I also watched the music video for the Smithereens Blood and Roses, because IMDb claims Pyun directed it. The song is in Dangerously Close, and it's also my jam. You didn't really have to twist my arm to listen to it again. And yes, it definitely does have little hints of Albert Pyun all over it. Specifically a overlay of color, which I'm quickly realizing seems to be a trademark of his. I almost skipped Sword and the Sorcerer. I just saw it for the first time back in April. I'm glad I didn't, because for some reason I had a memory of this film being completely different than it actually is. Sword and the Sorcerer is honestly a really great fantasy film to come out of those early days of the 80s after movies like Conan the Barbarian swept theaters. I've already mentioned in my Omega Doom video that I've recently become aware of Richard Lynch, who plays the main antagonist, and he was even better in this movie than I remembered. Apparently he thought it was going to be Oscar contender worthy, so he really gave it his all.
Little did I know what I let loose upon the world.
The story is one you've pretty much heard before. A peaceful land has lots of resources. Bad man wants the resources. Bad man attacks the kingdom, takes over, and begins a reign of tyranny. The kicker for this movie is that the son of the deposed ruler isn't really all that interested in retaking his throne, or even getting revenge for his murdered and enslaved family. He's become a world-renowned sword for hire, and likes that vigilante life. The movie has some really playful moments, cute editing, storytelling, but let's cut to the chase. The most absurdly memorable weapon you have ever seen. One bizarre flaw of the film is that everyone involved seems to have forgot that one of the main characters is actually our hero's long-lost sister, who's forced into sex slavery. The only way you're ever going to make the connection that Elizabeth is Talon's sister is if you remember that her name is Elizabeth. Literally, that's the only recognition the film gives to this character as an adult versus the abducted child. Just an altogether strange moment I wanted to mention. There's some really crazy stories about the making of this film as well. I'm basically grabbing everything from IMDb's trivia page because they have it laid out pretty well. A stuntman died on set. Richard Mall, who I'm realizing had a wild career before he was on Night Court, and maybe I should stop trying to describe him as that guy from Night Court, had a horrible reaction to the contact lenses he was wearing as Zushia, the titular sorcerer, and had to have them surgically removed because they fused to his eyes. Oliver Reed of Gladiator CGI fame was meant to voice the film's narrator, but showed up to set drunk and was fired. Not the first time I've heard a similar story to that. And there was just a ton of conflicts on set between the film's producer Brandon Chase and Pyun, who was making his directorial debut. Maybe I'll eventually do a video just on Sword and the Sorcerer, because there's so much more to talk about. Like, apparently on set there were factions who were Pyun supporters and who were Chase supporters, and anyway, we gotta move on for now. Definitely check it out if you're at all a fan of late 70s, early 80s sci-fi fantasy. It's a worthy film, plus has some truly inspired moments of special and practical effects. One thing I have to say first about Radioactive Dreams is it was the only one I had to watch on a video hosting site, Vimeo to be specific. So the quality of what I was watching was kind of trash. I'm going to try and get a copy of it at some point so I can watch it in slightly better quality. Even so, this was so much fun. Have you ever wanted to watch a post-apocalyptic dystopian film where the main characters were about as in touch with modern times as Brendan Fraser in Blast from the Past? Because boy, do I have the film for you. Our protagonists are John Stockwell's Philip Chandler and Michael Dudikoff's Marlo Hammer. And if those character names give you some sleazy film noir vibes, they should. Our main characters are obsessed with PI books and films and walk around the Neo-Tokyo looking city talking like two dicks from a 1950s cheapie.
We're private eyes, Rusty. Couple of big-time dicks.
You're sure a big dick, all right.
Thanks.
Norbert Weiser, who you may remember as the head from Omega Doom, makes his Albert Pyun debut, and it will not be the last time we see him in one of his films. George Kennedy also has a minor role in this movie, and at this point I'm kind of baffled by this film's cast, because Stockwell at least was really at pretty much the height of his fame, and Dudikoff, while never a household name, definitely had some cachet in the 80s. Anyway, this movie is headache-inducing with the gangster accents and has no real plot to speak of. It's more one of those films that's a series of events loosely tied together with an overarching plot about some nuclear keys that it's easy to lose track of, or even outright forget about, as you're introduced to such characters as the Disco Mutants.
Hey, move! Come on! Hey! Why? Get over here. Move it, punk!
That was our first encounter with Disco Mutants.
A biker gang of women straight out of Mad Max. Cannibals, nightclubs, bad guys in masks that are secretly our hero's fathers.
Hi, you squirt!
And of course, a dance number.
It's an open invitation to everybody. Now we're really rocking with one steady roll.
I actually love this despite the somewhat annoying moments, and if you've ever seen 1998's Six String Samurai and enjoyed that one, you'll probably similarly enjoy this film. One day I'll probably talk more about how much I love 80s dance club scenes in movies, and this one's chock full of them, so even if I hadn't enjoyed anything else about this movie, I was already doomed to love it. Also, for those playing along at home, this is the first Pyun film to have a character named Brick Bardo in it.
Ah, what's Brick Bardo gonna do with keys, right? I ain't got a car.
Remember that now. Well, welcome to the canon fold, Albert Pyun. Dangerously Close is a film inspired by a real-life incident of a student-led body of rules enforcers taking their power too far and actually murdering some of their classmates. A made-for-TV movie came out around the same time with a cast of far more familiar faces than this one, but don't worry, we still have John Stockwell here to keep us company.
We're here to help. All of you. To serve and protect.
I just don't feel like it. All right?
Yes, you do. I can't let you be a deserter.
And boy is he excited to make his mark on cinema as a fresh-faced bad boy villain. John Stockwell co-wrote this film's script, and it's an early foray into what would be what he was kind of known for in the latter part of his career. He has a lot of negatives to say about the making of this movie, and to be fair, so does Pyun. It doesn't sound like they had the greatest on-set relationship, and the movie does suffer as a result. While having a stellar soundtrack and some occasionally flashy moments, Dangerously Close was mostly forgettable, thanks in part to having a too hard-to-follow cast of characters, abandoned plot lines, and an ending that I'm still not totally sure I got. Honestly, even the people promoting the movie knew that the soundtrack was the drawing point. Look at this poster! The movie frustrates me more than anything. It should have been something I loved. It even has a nighttime-ish pool scene. That's the only thing I might love more than 80s dance club scenes.
You gotta reach for your dreams. Don't let it slip away.
This movie pissed me off so much, I don't even want to talk about it. We're rejoined by Sue Saad, who contributed a lot of music to Radioactive Dreams, and that won't be the only similarity this film holds to that one. This horror sci-fi musical tells the story of a band on the verge of their big break, as long as they can make it to American band's Radioactive Dreams in time to perform. Yep, that's right, the name of the club that they're trying to get to is named after Pyun's second movie. We're only 4 films deep, and he's already getting self-referential. This movie starts strong. We got aliens, we got new wave music, we got 80s hair, we got apparently the return of Marlowe and Chandler from Radioactive Dreams, embodied in this sleazy manager character played by Anthony Kentz, who, as far as I can tell, has never been in another movie, TV show, or even commercial.
What? Hey, you'll give us a gig tomorrow night? I told you, trust that. Hey, come on, vámonos.
I just wish there was some way I could thank you.
We'll think of something. In the meantime, just get your butt moving. Come on.
Honestly, I don't know who a single actor in this film is. I've at least heard Gina Calabrese's name before, because that's the name of a character on Miami Vice. Did I mention that this movie pissed me off? Let's just get to the crux of it. For about 40 minutes of the movie's 84-minute runtime, our heroes are stranded on a desert planet where their manager leaves to find help. Unbeknownst to them, the ship, which they hijacked to get them to the show on time, is carrying a creature that is
Murdered over 5,000 women.
Yeah, 5,000. While only stranded on the planet for a day, it seems like that's enough to start driving the women mad, and they begin infighting in a who's the real villain, man or monster cliche I'm not really even interested in investigating further. The monster is constantly teased in cutaways, slowly reaching his arms out of his cage. It turns out the planet is like a pleasure planet or something along those lines that causes everyone to have hallucinations, and the main character and newest member of the band, Judy Jetson, yeah, that's her name,
And you must be Judy Jetson.
starts to go mad as she's faced with increasingly more grotesque visions, before waking up and letting us know that the vast majority of the film was a dream.
Are you all right?
What happened?
You fainted.
Now hurry up, it's time to perform. And the most infuriating part of this final performance scene, which of course I loved because it's filmed in a club in the 80s and I can't help myself, is that we see a ridiculously awesome assortment of characters, puppets, costumes, masks, and just a plethora of material from a movie I wish I had seen because it looks awesome. The one and only good thing I will say about this film is I love the music, and most importantly, Anthony Ripperetti, who composed the music for Omega Doom, has now joined the Pyuniverse. Nope, that's even worse than Punathon. I'm sorry, I'll work on this.
We'll talk later.
So there you have it, the first 4 Albert Pyun films. Despite some missteps, because Dangerously Close was made quickly and under budget, Cannon took Pyun on and the rest is history. Stay tuned as we continue on through the rest of the 80s with Down Twisted, Alien from LA, and Cyborg. Finally, yes, I actually have never seen Cyborg, and that's not all. There are holes in my film knowledge yet to be discovered. I'll probably also watch Journey to the Center of the Earth from 1988. Pyun's disavowed the film, but why not? Thanks for sticking around with me so far. I'm really looking forward to watching more of these movies, and if you enjoyed this, I also watched all of the Puppet Master films over the Halloween season, and I haven't really done anything with that yet. Maybe I'll do a retrospective kind of like this one for that franchise. Let me know what you think in the comments. But that's all I got for now. Have a great week. See ya.